want us to talk just for a few moments about mental health, but particularly in relation to young people. Interesting that Justin Welby himself has spoken about his own fears of speaking out about his own mental health needs. The reason is that if we do, we believe that people will regard us as fallible, as frail, as flawed, as unreliable, as weak, as faithless, and actually as suspect. Our celebrities and musicians and sportsmen have been talking about their own mental health issues. I did look at that picture and wondered if you swapped the glasses over, would you be able to tell the difference? And of course, one is Prince Ed Sheeran, and the other is the singer Harry Windsor. But of course, the thing about our celebrities speaking about mental health in public is that they then get to live their problems and challenges in the public eye. Bishop James has talked about the needs of the NHS and how there is a continual pressure on how those needs are met. Although this article is 6 years old, and that's a picture of Rick Warren talking about his own son's suicide. The survey said that most Christians, evangelical Christians, believed that mental illness could be solved by more prayer and more Bible study. Although I'm sure the clergy among us have been to many Bible studies and prayer meetings that have caused us mental illness, as opposed to solving any of it. Although it is understandable and true. The thing for us is that most of us are not medics. We are not psychiatrists. We are not mental health professionals. We are not counsellors. Unless, of course, you are. Most of us are disciples. We are ministers, either collared or free. But we are all prayers. We can all pray. Many of us will never have to face issues of sectioning somebody under the Mental Health Act, but we are called to be present with those who suffer in a variety of different ways. Mental illness is not about your faith. It is not about how much you love God, and it is certainly not about how much God loves you. It is not about how much you believe in God, and how much you believe the Bible, and how much you trust God. Mental health is not about whether you are a good person, a good spouse, or a good friend. It is not about whether you feel you are a good Christian. I have never met one of those, including when I look in the mirror. It's not whether about God has saved you and you have eternal hope. It is not about whether you can do things for God or whether you belong to God's family. It is not about whether God is with you. He is. All those are already decided. It's about other stuff. In this country, 1 in 4 of us will experience a mental health problem each year. The most common anxiety of mental health problem in the UK is a mixed anxiety and depression. 1 in 6 people in England will experience a common mental health problem in each given week. And an estimated 20% of working days are lost due to anxiety and depression. There are currently 10,320,811 full and part-time pupils in the UK. 1 in 10 school children have a diagnosable mental health condition. That is greater than 1 million children have that condition. And they are in your churches and in your Sunday schools. And you wonder sometimes why it doesn't go well. 75% of all mental health problems are established by the time somebody is 18 years old. And 75% of young people who are experiencing mental health problems aren't receiving treatment. In relation to the under-16s, it can often be to do with your identity, including your sexuality or your body image. As you can see, I have been working on my body image. Not successfully, you might want to say. It can be about peer pressure and conformity. It can be about relationship breakdown in the home, as Bishop James has talked about. It is certainly associated with social deprivation, to do with your family's economics, and whether there is any food in your cupboards. In some areas of the country, that is not a given. It's about isolation, about a not belonging, about no one listening anymore. It can be about significant life losses. It can be about abuse, including bullying. And it can be about expectations, or even a lack of. Common types of mental illness. You might want to put your hand up if you have any of these, but please don't. Especially if you're clergy, it looks bad. Mind you, especially the clergy, frankly, isn't it? Whether you have mood disorders, does the person next to you have mood disorders? Don't answer if you're married. Thank you. Depression, anxiety, panic, bipolar disorders, OCD. Don't you think OCD should be CDO, then all the letters are in the right order? That was a joke. Oh, gosh. Psychosis, including schizophrenia, psychotic depression and manic states. That does describe most clergy. Eating disorders, trauma related to PTSD, substance and dependence abuse, the communion wine. Fears and phobias. How many people go round and check the doors at night 3 times, even though you know you've done it, but no, okay, then I'm the only one. Suspicions, conspiracy, theories, hearing voices. I spent a day with 50 consultant psychiatrists. I was in that much need. It was a symposium on the spirituality of the soul. And I said to one psychiatrist, I said, I believe God speaks to me. Am I hearing voices? He said, yes, you are, but everybody does. So I said, what's the difference? He says, the outcome. It's the outcome. I feel a bit embarrassed talking about this one in the Cathedral, but the Messiah complex, that's an expression of it. Issues relating to chemical imbalance and other issues. The symptoms, well, you can feel sad or down, confused thinking and reduced ability to concentrate, excessive fears and worries, extreme feelings of guilt. If you are in a church that majors on getting you to behave by guilt, please find a different church. And yes, I really did say that. Extreme mood changes, highs and lows, a withdrawal from friends and activities, and significant tiredness, low energy, and sleeping problems. Anybody got any of those? Give me a wave. Yeah, hi, how you doing? Yes, the clergy are going, hello. You may experience a detachment from reality, delusions, paranoia, I'm not paranoid, but they really are out to get me. And hallucinations and an ability to cope with daily problems and stresses, a trouble understanding and relating to situations and people. If you always have to talk and dominate a conversation, is there something else going on? Problems with alcohol and drug use, major changes in eating habits. I did think about this one in relation to school children, and I thought, well, I'll include it, but obviously not in primary school sex drive. Some of you are wondering, what is that, by the way? Excessive anger, hostility and violence, and suicidal thinking. Well, there are a number of things, and I want to try and bring that down to young people. So I'm just going to skip two things, because even preachers get bored. What can the church do? In relation to young people, you can acknowledge that mental illness can happen to anyone, including a child and a young person. You don't just have to be long in the tooth to experience it. We can acknowledge that growing up can be difficult anyhow, let alone growing up in this culture. What happens to children when they go to bed and regularly hear their parents arguing and shouting every night? And then we expect them to behave normally tomorrow. Don't underestimate the power of your presence. If you've ever been to an African funeral, you will know that the only thing required of you is to be there. Your presence. Try listening, not correcting. Any people here finish the end of other people's sentences? Anybody do that? No? Because you're sitting next to the person, aren't you? You say, try not to do that with young people. Unconditional, non-judgmental love. So what can you do? You can develop your understanding. You can find out how people get appropriate help. If a body needs medication, make sure that they take it. If you struggle with suicidal thoughts, get help. It will save your life. And if you're caring for someone who has mental illness, you need a support system yourself. So at the end of this quick talk, here's another question for you to think about. And my question is this. Turn with other people and ask this question. How safe would people feel in your church community? And perhaps the question behind that is, how safe do you feel? 5 minutes, just turn.